share this out to a few groups. Today, I was going to talk about stones today. We're not going to do stones today. We're not going to do stones. We're not going to do the stones. We're going to do crystals. I think crystals we're going to do tomorrow, day after. Emergency calls. My crystal person had something to deal with. Got to go with the universe. She had to handle something. So we're not going to talk about crystals today. We're not going to do stones today. Today, what pulls my coattails is a conversation currently being held on my thread. And so I got to share this out to a couple of groups. I want to talk about kids today because we don't seem to understand. How about Lord of the Rings? Kids. Because the balrog keeps passing. Damn it. Y'all know this is a balrog, right? It's a balrog. Don't let it pass. Stop letting the balrog pass. That should be 101. If it's a balrog, don't let it pass. How do you take out a fire is my question. You take out a fire by spraying water at the top of the fire? Is that how you take out a fire? You get the water, Ceylon, whatever it is, and you spray it at the top of the fire? Or do you solve problems at the base? Do you take out the fuel? Do you spray water at the base? I was looking at street crime, violent kids, violence. That's what I want to talk about today. Because the kids aren't crazy. They're being crazed. There's a big difference. And so hang on, let me get started. I can press my buttons. I start talking before I get all my things all going on. All right, hold on. So we got people coming in. Good people coming in. The people coming in. I can't even get into the discussion on my thread. Sometimes when it just goes too far, I can't even jump in it. I let it go. I make my point and I walk away. The other thing I would ask you, as you get into discussions with people and you find that they completely have a different view than you have, and it doesn't seem like it's based in what you would call your reality or a reality, just accept that everybody's coming from a different place. Try to accept that everybody has different data, they know different things. And you know the thing I like to do? I like to look at what people say. I don't psychoanalyze, not like that, but I like to look for keywords and use what I know to determine where that person's coming from. And there's some people that you just, you can't beat them over the head with what you know because they're not ready to accept certain things because they've had certain things happen to them in their life. So just look at those things, process that. So I won't talk about that today. Good morning, YouTube. Oh, people in the house early. Dee Dee's in the house. Dina is in the house. Kimberly is in the house. Rebecca. 20 other people. I can't even see. I'm sorry. They do this mess quickly. Uh-oh. YouTube's not connected? Uh-oh. Am I messing YouTube up again? I thought I did. Yes, it's connected. Something. Oh, the chat window didn't come up. It's connected. Nobody's over there yet. Augustine. Oh, but you're always over there. So you know if it's... Yeah, it should be connected. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes the chat is slow to come up. So we'll give it a minute to come up. But I'm talking about balrog today. I want to talk about the balrog. Let's talk about the balrog. Yesterday we did dragons. Today we're going to do the balrog. I was just bopping through the daily international news because I don't watch American news. I don't like being controlled, and that mess is just for control. Well, all news is for control once again. But so I don't really know what happens in America too often, and I'll be honest, I don't know what happened in this case. I don't know what happened in this case. This was the case where somebody can mention the name. I think they were protesting in New York. The girl was 16 at the time. Okay, YouTube looked like it's up. And something transpired. The details, I don't know. About to break stuff. The details, I have no idea about. Y'all see the movie magic back there. I don't know the detail. I don't need to know the details, to be honest with you. I don't. I don't think I care about the details. All I need to know is 16-year-old girl, grown man, had sex, and the grown man died. That's it. I'm done. I don't need no more details. I don't need to know about nothing about no drugs. I don't need nothing. I live in America. I grew up here. We got the balrog running around. You know, I know people who've gone to prison. I've dealt with a lot of my friends who ended up there. Sat in a car. Good thing I lucked up. And I had good parents. I sat in the car. My friend got in one day. Good buddy of mine, closest friend. Gun in the car. And I knew what was happening. Like, I knew that somebody was picking with him. I knew it was an older man that was coming after him. And I guess, I don't remember all the details of what happened that day, but what I do know is we were raised at a time where we had raging kids. Raging. Like today. I don't remember what we talked about. All I know is he was going to take the gun and defend himself because this man was kept coming after him. And I just remember whatever we talked about, he didn't use the gun. I think it was his father's gun. Young man, I think his father died when he was 13. And for whatever reason, whatever we talked about, it was a situation where he decided to not use the gun, to not take the gun and defend himself when this man came for him. This older, I think it was an older kid actually. When you live in a society, when a child has to rage to defend themselves, when you show a kid that their society is not about peace and love and happiness that the adults enjoy, because the adults, for the most part, they enjoy it. It's the kids are the ones trying to walk to school and not be raped and carry their book bags. If you raise a child and you show a child that it must rage to survive, if they can't walk to school without a gun, without a knife, they can't walk to school without seeing one or two of their friends being grabbed and raped in a corner somewhere. If you are raised in an environment like that, you will become what the crazy people who designed your society force you to become. It's just how we work. So I don't know all the details of this particular case, and I don't need to know. I see y'all going back and forth on the thread and arguing. If you are a 16-year-old girl, you don't have a frontal lobe at all. I will always stand behind this. Never blame children. Never, ever, 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 ever. Never blame children. It's never the children's fault. We did this. We support it. We live on the society. We created crazed children. They're not crazy. They've become exactly who they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be riding in cars. They're supposed to join gangs. They're supposed to have the gang signs. They're supposed, what's that gang thing they do now? I don't know the gang thing. I can't keep up. I can't keep. When I was a kid, they wore red and blue. Now, is it you wore red in the wrong area, you're gonna get beat up. That's just how it worked. But now they got the gang dances, and I can't follow it. But what I'm saying is, we raise kids to rage. And you teach them one of two things. You teach them how to be peaceful and loving, or you teach them how to fight. You teach them that they have to kill to survive. And y'all know me when it comes to guns. I'm not interested in your gun control at all. I'm not interested in any of it. Because the guns are never the problem. The guns are they've never been the problem. They're not gonna be the problem. They won't solve the problem. I get that. The face is scary as hell, and you want to deal with the face. The face is the bad end. You can spray all the water you want on the top of a fire and it'll never go out. You can have all the programs you want. You can have all the jail education and jobs on the back end, and all of that stuff is good. Don't get me wrong. You can have all the drills in these schools to school shootings and get everybody ready to perpetuate the problem. Like, I understand you got to deal with a problem when it's hot and popping at that time. Got that. Got that. But if we keep letting the balrog pass every generation, we just simply refuse to deal with the root cause of why kids are crazed, instead of just calling them crazy every generation because there are industries making money on it. Let me show you something. I got to show you something. Because I think of it from a fire perspective, right? If you starve a fire, the fire goes out. Kids aren't crazy. They are crazed. And when you focus on the guns, it takes all the focus from the actual problem. That's why I'm not for gun control for a couple different things, a couple different reasons. But the main reason is because you get the majority of people who should be cheering, we need to fix the problem at the root. And they're yelling and screaming to spray water at the top of the fire. Let me show you this. When you see the balrog coming, you can either take out the feet or you can take out the top. I might get in trouble for this one. No, I don't think I'm gonna get in trouble for this one. This is an official clip. Y'all remember this line, this part of the movie? Party was trying to get away. The next generation, they were trying to flee. They were the fellowship of the rings. I don't know, let's call them the fellowship of the earth. They were trying to get away. They just want some rings, they want some gold, some oil, I don't know. The human race was trying to get away. And the balrog was like, oh hell no, you ain't going nowhere. I got you. We got the roast. Gandalf knew what to do.
I am the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor. The dark fire will not avail you, flame of Udun!
Somebody stood in the cut. One generation decided it was going to stand in the cut. He decided, I'm going to stop attacking the balrog in a place that perpetuates the problem. A place that keeps modern slavery going. A place that keeps young girls having to shoot grown men, raping them. Check out the feet. Let me see.
Go back to the shadow. Shall not pass!
Boom, all right, I'm gonna stop there. Not show any more. Show any more, I'll probably get in trouble. An example, take out the feet. Solve the root cause of the problem. Kids aren't crazy, they are crazed. These kids running in these gangs, these kids running with the guns, the kids, they become what they're supposed to become. Let me show you this. I'm gonna take it back. I feel like I have to go back. Sometimes I feel like I repeat myself. I don't like to repeat myself. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who don't understand how the human brain works. They don't understand that when you raise a child to become a warrior, war is the way. We constantly blame the guns. We constantly, well, the way it usually works is one side will blame the guns, the other side will blame the kid. And no one blames a root issue with the balrog. I don't know. Let's call it a balrog Wall Street. Let's call it a balrog markets. Let's call it the balrog central banking. Let's call it the balrog greed. Let's call it whatever you want to call it. Keeping scarce conditions, artificially scarce conditions, artificial scarcity, buying legislation through your favorite loved legislators to bring about economic starvation, poverty type conditions that require children who grow up listening to gunshots at night because the older kids and the adults, they have to steal, rob, and do things to survive. And all night long, that kid is being encoded. His frontal lobe is being developed, listening to gunshots and screaming and ambulance and police cars to become something that we know we don't want to make any more of. right, let me show you this. Where is it at? Your frontal lobe develops, what is it, from the age of 3 to, oh, you can't see the whole thing. Well, comments just have to get a little blocked out for a minute. This is how the human brain develops. When you raise a child and you teach a child that it has to be violent to survive, that its world is based in guns, its world is based in knives, it lives in a world where Wall Street buys legislation from the legislators, taking their rights so people can't survive. You create starvation type conditions. You create mass poverty. The kids look up. They look at the older people in their area. They look at the grown-ups in their area. And if they're learning through what they're seeing outside of things we don't understand, the waves the brain's taking in from all the other people in its community. And if you have to be violent to live, if you have to rob to live, if you have to kill to survive or be raped and tossed into a hole, if you have to fight with the police to make money, if you got to become a white nationalist to have love, if you got to do these things, then that's exactly what the kids are supposed to do. This is a little chart of the brain developing from the age of 3 to 20, although I wish 26 was on here. So your frontal lobe gets developed and your brain is developing in those critical times. And it's slowly putting together the parts and the pieces of its world. It's slowly putting together neurons so it functions well in the world that it's given, the society that's legislated. And if the society is legislated that you're supposed to go to school and get an education, learn mathematics, science, and English, then that's how the brain develops, to get a job and to perform in that function. But if your brain at young ages is being developed to fight, to kill, to run, to hide, that's exactly what you will become. It's just science. It's very simple. And it's not even science. Beyond that, I mean, there are scriptures that talk about this and training a child up in the way it ought to go. And if you're constantly cheering legislation that takes away people's ability to survive, then that's what's going to happen. I know it's hard to read the chart. In the early adolescent years, there's greater capacity to learn and create. There's increased, I'm gonna stop there. Greater capacity to learn and create. So at a very young age, your brain is neutral. And it's just trying to figure out, what am I supposed to become? What world was I born into? What tribe was I born into? What do I need to know so the next generation, so my generation can survive a little better? Plants do it, animals do it. This is not new, it's very old science. So of course human beings do it. So they got a great capacity to learn and create because their brain gets developed that way. And it should be very simple. It should be very simple to understand as an adult in a society that the kids become what we make them. And they become the adults we make them. And at a young age, you have an increased risk in the brain for damage from drugs and alcohol. Drugs and alcohol. You know, I don't buy my kids any pharmaceutical drugs. There's no Tylenol in my house. There's no Bayer, there's no aspirin. Damn sure ain't no heroin. Damage. War on drugs, bringing more drugs in the country, making sure they're readily available to every child in every elementary school, every middle school, and every high school. Alcohol, making sure it's available, making sure they can get it everywhere. Affects their brain development. The society we build, the things we refuse to do because corporations buy politicians because they want to make a lot of money. And then increased developmenting addictions, right? They get addicted at young ages, increased risk of mental illness. We don't even have to go there because it's just epigenetics. But the thing that I do want to show you something else. I won't read all the way down through that. We make these problems. We make these kids. So the details to me don't matter in America with these violent kids because the details are always the same. It's always the same thing. Kid raised in poor environment, kid taught to become survivor, warrior, and then a society of adults that pick which side they want to be on when it comes to a discussion. And nobody talks about what to do. But the corporations stay in power, the banks stay in power, The laws stay in place. None of your legislators do anything about it. Why? Because they're doing pretty well. I'll show you something else. The other thing that sent me down, there wasn't just a discussion on the thread trying to figure out who to blame, the little girl or the guy that was shot. I don't understand. I don't understand. And I don't understand if you listen to the words that come out of people's mouths. Look at the words that they type, and it'll help you understand who they are and what they're dealing with and why they have the positions that they have, right or wrong. You don't argue with somebody that can't see what you see. They're not ready to. Tell them the truth and walk away. Well, that's how I operate. I mean, you can operate any way you want to. So I want to talk about gun violence. Got this massive.
There are two types of people in winter.
No.
Love it or hate it. You can't.
I hate commercials. That's why gun crime exists. It's commercials. This was a good Al Jazeera report. I just want to show you the beginning of it.
Hi, I'm Femi Okay.
I'm Malika Bilal, and you're in the stream.
Is there a solution to gun violence in the United States? We talked to members of a non-profit organization that believes it has the answer.
And we want to hear your thoughts. Tweet us or leave your comments in the live YouTube chat, and you too could be in the stream.
Hi, I'm Chandra Bazelko. I write the award-winning blog Prison Diaries, and you are in the stream.
This year, the US city of Chicago has been the scene of nearly 2,800 shootings, a statistic that stands as a sobering reminder of a cycle of violence that shows no signs of stopping. But organizers of Green Reentry subscribe to the belief that nothing stops a bullet like a job, and say to end the cycle of violence, you must eradicate the forces that diminish the humanity of young people.
The building is run down, it's dilapidated.
Let me stop for a minute. They almost say it to you. It's like they know. Diminishing the humanity of young people. If you don't let them become human, why would you have human laws that require that that's how they operate? If you break, all right, let them talk.
An eyesore, and probably nobody in the community wants it. This is why the Green Reentry program is so important, because this is the way returning citizens are looked at. Dilapidated, run down, not loved, don't nobody want it, and want to go anywhere but there. I joined the man 8 months ago, after doing 20 years, 6 months in prison. Our brother Rami, he likes to talk about this being a second chance, but for some of us, it's our first chance. And as a result of getting the behavioral help I needed, getting life skills training, now I'm an emerging leader in the man.
So what happens when violence is treated like a community health crisis instead of a crime issue?
A community health crisis instead of a crime issue.
Joining us to talk about this in San Francisco, California, Rami Nashashibi. He's the executive director of the Inner City Muslim Action Network in Chicago, or IMAN. Joining us on set, Billy Moore, case manager for the Green Reentry Program, and Leonard McInnes, a member of that program. Welcome everyone to the stream.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here. Our brother Rami, I want to show you something here. A couple of tabs on my laptop. One is a gun violence archive, and you can see the number of injuries from gun violence in 2018. Another one is from the Chicago Tribune, 50 of the most recent victims in 2018 of shootings. Another story here, 2018 was a record year for school gun violence. This is how we normally talk about gun violence in the United States. Statistics and deaths, and not much positivity, but you are kind of flipping the script on this. When you see those stats, what do you see?
Well, you know, there's no doubt that the scourge of gun violence in the United States is something that affects all communities, irrespective of socioeconomic background, urban, geography, whether it's urban or rural. Clearly, an organization like ours is one that has been focusing on this issue in inner city urban communities like Chicago. And when we look at the problem of gun violence or violence more broadly in Chicago, I think what we try to do is to deal with some of the very root causes that historically undergird that violence, that in fact provide us with an opportunity to demonstrate that it can be solved. Jobs, opportunities, infrastructure, capacity. These are real solutions that create real alternatives for violence, and we've seen that work.
Yeah,
we've seen it work. He's seen it work. We know throughout history, when people have jobs, they don't do crimes. When people can survive, they don't have to kill. When people have what they need, they don't have to rob. It's not anything new. Very old information. Somebody asked where this was. This is Chicago, but it doesn't matter where it is. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. What races is it? It's every last damn one of them. All of them. It's every race that's a human race. Every race that has a brain in its head. Solving problems at the root, looking at the fuel of the fire, taking away the kindling and the logs that allow it to burn, or spraying water at the top of the fire. Blaming the guns. When you give people a means to survive, they survive. When girls are safe walking to school, when girls are safe in a society that doesn't traffic weapons to all the men all over the world, when a society that doesn't traffic weapons because of the war on drugs in its own nation, and so the women have to become survivors. You know, when I grew up, big difference. Big, I can't even. Little girls were little girls. I don't even know what that is. I won't, but they're indoctrinated, they're conditioned, we were then, whatever. But they were mostly peaceful. They did hopscotch. They played. Very seldom would you even find a little girl cussing and acting up, acting like a man, right? Because I have issues with this. I have issues because it seems that we've taken the worst in patriarchal society. We've taken the worst things that we see in men and now we're putting them in women. But the little girls weren't rough and tough and ramble because they didn't have to be. The boys, we fought amongst ourselves. We're dumb. We just, we're boys. That's what we did. We fight rough tumble. That's how it works. I see my brother when I come home. I got to hit him something, Harry. He's not looking. My son, I see him. He's in the kitchen. Got his chest exposed. I'm supposed to hit it. That's just how men work. It's crazy. We don't hurt each other, but it's how we are. The girls now, they got to take up guns. I like to say it that way because it sounds shocking, but it's true. They have to take up guns. I am for every girl on this planet being armed. I completely am. Because the few I know that have let me know some of the things they've been through, the things that they don't really tell anybody, they deserve to have a gun. They live in a violent world and we keep it violent. They go to school with crazy kids, who were crazed by their society, by the crazy adults in the society who don't want to change anything. And they get behind politicians, which is why I don't do politics, who don't ever change any damn thing. This is why I don't care what you say about Trump. I don't care. I don't even pay attention. I'm not even paying. I couldn't give two damns. Because they always focus you on things that just don't matter. We are raising children in the most violent environments all over this world. All over this world. And you're still chasing Trump's penis. I can't even laugh on that anymore. I don't feel like laughing on it today. I can't do it. It perplexes me. The things that you let monsters who work for balrogs focus you on. Instead of taking their feet out. Every generation, handing down the same damn problem. Poverty, 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 because we're doing a little better than everybody else. I don't understand that. Can somebody explain that to me? All right, I'm gonna let the rest of it play because I want the brothers to say something too. So he's attacking it, this gentleman, from a root cause, take out the fuel, and people have ability to survive, they don't kill perspective. And the next brother's gonna play, and they take it from another end. I'm not saying don't spray water. You've got current situations you gotta deal with, right? You gotta deal with the details of what's happening today. But you also have to put the majority of your resources between taking out all the unconstitutional laws, all the things that keep people poor, all the regulation, all the reason that jobs aren't coming back. The majority should be fixing the problem, because right now, I guarantee you, right now, somewhere in your country, wherever you are, some child in sex slavery is being abused, right? And they say that's the precursor of this case in this 16-year-old girl. Don't know the details. I don't even know her name. I don't need to know the details, and I don't need to know her name, because I know my society, and I know the laws, and I know the scarcity. Let me let these brothers make their points.
One of the things that doesn't get addressed and overlooked is the trauma that people are suffering in our communities.
Trauma.
Due to the fact that they live in these areas that they're self-isolated in. A lot of our young men...
Isolated. I'm sorry, I want to let them talk. Trauma. Were you raised in trauma? Were you raised in trauma? Do you know what trauma is? And if you were raised in trauma, was anybody raised in any worse trauma? When you raise children in trauma, do they not become traumatic? Isolated, can't get out of the trailer park, can't get out of the ghetto, can't get out of the barrio. Why? Because money dictates upward mobility. It dictates if you can escape. You're in a cage, raising children in a trauma cage and expecting them without even a frontal lobe to make decision making like you do. And if you don't, I've said it, the frontal lobe, your prefrontal cortex, is your decision-making ability of your brain. If it's not formed, you can't make adult decisions. It's impossible. Words of brother, what's his name? I get so upset with this mess sometimes. Dr. James Fallon, asking some of these inmates in these prisons, like, they know that murder, you think murder is bad. That to them, murder's a part of daily activity. Asking them whether or not murder is good or bad is like asking a blind man to see light. What does light look like? Asking a blind person to describe light. These people can't even see. These children who are raised in trauma cages can't even see that murder is bad. Murder is a way to make, same way you pick up your briefcase and go to work, you pick up your laptop and go to work, it's just a part of your day. It's what you're supposed to do to make money and get a paycheck. These children are raised in environments where dealing drugs, carrying guns, and surviving is just going to work, because they see it all damn day. From their playground, walking to school, and they hear it all night with the police cars and the ambulances and the shots being fired. Can't even see it. That's why I don't blame them. Never blame a child. I never blame a child. No, people say, well, you just can't let the prisons let everybody out. Not one damn person should be in there. Not one of them. You have a violent person in your society. We made them violent. We did. Us, with free frontal cortexes, with developed the ability to make human decisions. We have this ability, and we keep them in there, and we keep making more, and we keep blaming the guns, and we keep blaming them. It's all on us. All on us. Every last child in prison. All right, I'm gonna stop. I know. Sometimes y'all gotta pull me back. You gotta pull me back sometimes. Just pull me back. All right. Let's let the brother finish making the rest of his points.
Come to us, and they just want that change because it's an outlet for them to get away from the things that they're around all day, every day. The blocks are hot, so we provide basically a sanctuary, and we're addressing the whole person through behavioral health therapy, essential life skills. When we talk about transforming the thinking of these young men, we stand in front of them also as men who have made mistakes in their lives and have changed it, turned it around, and we just show them how. My biggest challenge is...
All right, I'm gonna stop, because they didn't make mistakes. They didn't make mistakes. I'm not here to sit here and lie to you. Let's pretend that they made mistakes. They didn't make mistakes. They did exactly what we raised them to do. Exactly, precisely what Wall Street, your Democrats and your Republicans and the laws that they did exactly what they were supposed to survive. Exactly, they didn't make any damn mistakes. We make the mistakes. They're the side effect. They're the victim. Gun violence is a side effect. It's not a cause. It's not a thing that they do. It's not a decision. It's a side effect of our collective ignorance, even though we have the ability to make decisions. So I'm sorry. And this is a very positive brother. I mean, he's working from the green perspective. Let's get them jobs. Let's take care of them when they get out. And you have to do that. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm saying is the real ugly truth underneath all of the nice stuff that we like to put out, that, oh, the inmates, they're just bad people. They do bad things. They're just bad guys. They're lazy. They don't want to get jobs. They just don't want to get an education. I can't do that. Like, it's not how my brain works. It's not how my brain works. Somebody, Brother Jack, just said they are trained and conditioned. Thank you, Brother Jack, for that word. They are trained. I'm going to go on that. Trained. Like you in the military, boot camp. What is the purpose of boot camp? It's to take a young developing brain and forge it into a brain that won't question orders, that will do some of the most violent atrocities, that will shoot when you see a 13-year-old kid running at you with a bomb strapped to his chest, that won't think about it. That'll shoot when you see a woman. Why? Because you need your soldiers to follow those orders and do the most horrific things the human brain's not even designed to do. So you take these kids at very young ages in the military, not at your 30s, not when you're 40 and 50, because it's too late to forge your brain into a killer. They train and condition these young men and young women to go into war and do these things to survive. Why? Because they get paychecks. And they also condition them that they're fighting for democracy and freedom. They're protecting their homeland. They quite literally, like Tina just said, they break you. They break the human. These kids are trained and conditioned to do exactly what they're required to do, what the adults who orchestrate and legislate their society have decided that they must do to survive. So no, they didn't make mistakes. They didn't make accidents. No, I don't think drug dealers are bad guys. You know who I think the bad guys are? They're the people at the top of the cartel. They're the people in the federal government, the DEA, that bring the drugs again. The people in the CIA that started the drug trade. All right, let me finish. Thank you, Brother Jack, for that. Thank you. Trained and conditioned. The reason I like to deal with root cause problems is because they're solvable. That's why you deal with root cause of problems to solve the problem. You deal with the top of the fire when you want to keep the fire going. You spray water at the top of the fire when you want to make money from the fire. And this is what I keep telling you about these politicians. Now listen to George Carlin said it. I forgot his quote. What'd he say? Somebody tell me what he said. I forget sometimes. The politicians are useless. They do what they can get away with. That's their job. Their job is to do anything they can get away with. That's the job. The job is not a service anymore. They're not in service to you. It is a job. The job is to keep their butt in the chair for their political party. They got to take as much money as they can from all the different industries, the prison industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the police industry, the military industry, all the money they can to keep their butt in that chair. And they do that by fooling you. By getting you to focus on Trump's penis or his anus or whatever they want you to focus on, to get you to focus on Kavanaugh's penis or his anus, whatever. Is y'all saying the penis anus apocalypse? Is anybody, do you see any bigger issues to deal with? Do you ever? The whole world is up and right. Yellow Jackets running in the street, yelling and screaming, fighting against the bourgeoisie, and my Congress, because you go along with it and you post their crap and you talk about their crap like they're not psychopaths. They're talking about Trump's penis and his anus 30 years ago. Can y'all talk about his penis and his anus today? Huh? All right. I'm sorry. All right, coming down. All right, I'm gonna come down. I get annoyed with it. Gun crime happens. Everybody yelling about the damn guns. Shut up. Love you. But the problem ain't the guns. The problem has never been the guns. The problem wasn't the daggers. It wasn't the swords. It wasn't the poison. It wasn't any of that crap going back. The problem is when poor people can't survive, they do things that are violent that the people in control don't like. They scare you to get you to blame them or the daggers, and it's never them or the daggers. It's always the people in control. And so the whole world is flipping out. Yellow jackets in the Netherlands, in Belgium, now talking about Germany, in France. And we're in a man draws. This is so hard. This is why it's so hard to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't even know the words anymore. I don't even know the words. All right, let go. Oh, Lord.
Try to fast forward a young man's thinking to where I'm at right now so that he don't make the mistakes that I made as a youth. And it's hard because the only thing they're exposed to is what they know, what they come from. But we provide that environment that builds them up. Iman is unapologetic about its spiritual base as well, you know, and we feed the soul of these young men as well as their knowledge and the trades, which we have 3 trades that we teach these guys.
Feed the soul, giving them knowledge, giving them the ability to have a soul, the ability to have the knowledge to reform their brain from the boot camp-like upbringing we give poor kids in our world because we're crazy and we don't give a damn about them.
Guys in construction, electrical, HVAC, and carpentry. And
we like to pretend we do.
Our own community as well as our own youth.
You know, Billy, you mentioned hoping to teach young people what to turn away from now that, you know, you have the wisdom and you can look back and show them. I wanted to bring up this tweet we got from a pastor in Chicago, actually, and Leonard, I'll give this one to you. Pastor Donovan Price writes in, he says, the individuals I am honored to work with are affected in ways that people could never imagine, deeper and more far-reaching into their existence than whoever thought it okay to discharge a firearm could have hoped. So when he talks about the ways that people are affected, explain to our international audience, what is that like? What is it like to be a young black man in Chicago?
It's hard because it's a lack of opportunity. It's a lack of resources. So when I got presented with an opportunity like Iman, it was like, I didn't really believe it at first, because coming in, it's all gas from that walk of life, you feel me? So it's like, all us got this persona that we trying to uphill, and then when we come into space, like, okay, when I started the program, I came into the space with a bunch of guys that I didn't know. I didn't know from a can of paint. So it was tension in the room. All us from different sides of the city. You don't know who. You don't know if you're gonna be the next one.
Listen to him. Listen to this brother talk. Didn't even know, just blown away by the idea and the concept that there are people who want to help you. Already still, because you're coming out of the system and you're still in that tribalized, how to survive. Where is this other cat coming from the other side of the city? Who was he running with? Did I do something to one of his guys that did something to me? How is that any different from a political party? How is that any different from what we're seeing in adults in their activity right now? A gun is just a tool, like a political party is a tool. The only difference is the gun these young brothers use, they only kill one person at a time. Political parties, they murder nations, entire nations, so they can have better lives here. Like, if you really think about it, the violence, the gun violence that these young people do is nowhere near as traumatizing, as destructive, as murderous as these political parties do. That's why I'm saying you need to exit. You really need to think about getting away from the real killers in this world. Like, in a society where you raise large swaths of people in abject poverty, where they have to do violence to survive, who is the real terrorist? Who is bringing about the real terror to these young people's lives? Who's a terrorist? I know they tell you the terrorist has a turban, runs around in the desert shooting people, I know they tell you that the terrorists are the gang members with the signs doing all that stuff with the, you know. But who really brought the terror? Who brings the terror? Who refuses every damn administration, every election, every time y'all put some new butts in those chairs? Who absolutely refuses to bring about any damn change to the terror that these young people feel that make them pick up a gun? And I guarantee you, I don't know the brother and I don't know his name, I don't know where he's from, but I guarantee you he was a kid who was born just like you. Born, parents that loved him, playing with the ball. You know how babies do the thing? Because I want to say this because people, they look and they judge people by how they talk and how they look. Just imagine him as a little baby playing with a lip, just drool, you know, because the kids are born wide-eyed. I'm in the world. I made it. Wow, what have you adults made for me? Can I play with things? Can I stick my finger in your nose and, you know, chew on my foot? And all of a sudden they find out that's not the world everybody gets born into. And the only tool that they don't have a political party. They don't have an education tool. They don't have a tool that they can utilize to survive, except for a gun. Think about it.
Or what? But all of our intentions are here to we're here to better ourselves. So once I start actually buying into the program and I actually seen because I want only to come in there for just a trade. Like, it opened my mind they helped me be a better man. That's what I feel like.
You know what's beautiful in just hearing this brother talk? He is significantly more capable than most of the people I know. Most of the adults age 30 to 80. Why? Because he's actually doing something called deprogramming to reprogram. That's a shout out to Brother Chris. Brother Chris! He's not in the house. Chris Lewis. Name of his show, Deprogram to Reprogram. He's figured out that the gun wasn't the way. The gang, somebody showed him that there is another way to survive. Let me ask you this. Are you willing to walk away from your political party? Are you willing to walk away from your politics and your tribalism and your religions and your races and all the things that got you fighting other people, this class fighting that class? He's willing, he understands there's another way to go about things, that you can actually talk. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to get more people in your gang to take on them. You don't have to get more people in your violent political party that murders nation to take on the other side. That you can actually take care of yourself. That you can get a job. You can provide for yourself. This young brother, what does he look like? He's maybe 21, has figured out that he's been taught a lie. He's been trained, conditioned, indoctrinated into a complete fallacy that gang violence is the way forward. You gotta fight people and shoot them to solve problems. Have you figured that out? Have you figured out that you don't need a political party to solve problems? Have you figured out you don't need to fight the left or fight the right to actually solve? Have you figured out that human brains have something called 2 ears and a mouth? 2 ears so you can listen to more than you run in your mouth? Have you figured out that you got a brain yet? And sometimes that brain is encoded to do things that Wall Street wants you to do because it makes everybody a commodity. This young brother's figured out that he is a commodity on Wall Street, that all the adults in his world, his society, built up a society that made him into something he never had to become. Never had to become. There's something beautiful in how this man is talking. Are y'all listening to this young man? Let me let him finish.
I feel like they help me be a better man. Like with the
Do you want to be better?
How they let you know when they let me know that your thoughts gonna control how you feel, and that's gonna ultimately control your actions. And when we, as black men, only emotion we know how to really express is anger. Cause
your thoughts and your emotions will control you. Thoughts and emotions. Eddie Bernays, propaganda, read the book.
We conditioned to only express when we mad. We ain't when you cry and you little, when you're a young man growing up, that's a emotion that gets suppressed. So coming up, when we become men, we don't know how to deal with hurt or pain. We explode in ways that we shouldn't. So me having the opportunity to be around guys that did 20 years or guys that did 30 years that kind of messed up their life, and they actually.
Hurt and pain don't exist. You know what he's explaining to you? He's explaining to you the 27 genes that regulate psychopathy. Hurt and pain don't exist. Why? Because you're a boy, you can't cry. You can't feel pain. You have to push through it. He became a warrior. He was required to become one. The genes are flipped off, and he's even telling you. He's actually putting the research right in front of you without doing the research. He knows what happened to him. To that degree, we raise little kids to be tough. We raise little boys to fight through it, whether it be in a trailer park, whether it be the what is it, the white nationalist, this thing that they tell you, this dumb, ignorant thing. They say, oh, punch a Nazi. Why in the hell would you punch a Nazi? Do you know the Nazi? Why did he become that? Who made him? Does he have the ability for compassion? Can he drive a Dodge Charger over a crowd of people because he's supposed to, because he was raised to? He was raised in the hate. Pushed to another side because somebody wanted to write a book called White Privilege. Yeah, I'm gonna hit that one. I'm gonna hit that one too. Why? Because it's tribal. Why would somebody come up with a word like white privilege? If not for anything to sell some damn books and get people behind them. If not anything but to cause more problems. In a world where you got kids all being raised to do the same damn thing, whether it be Gaza, West Bank, Appalachian Mountains, Chicago, DC, all over the damn world, or the Congo. Same damn problem. But they somehow convince you to fight somebody on another side. And we all got the same thing in common. We all would be him if we were born where he was born. We'd all be running around with guns doing the same thing. I use my black privilege every damn day to come on here to try to say we're all the same. It's what the science says. It's what the religions say. And anybody who tries to get you to divide up against some other poor people, they are perpetuators of the problem. They don't want to solve the problem. They make money from the problem. And you can always follow the money and tell. You can always follow the money. I'm always hitting on the Black Caucus. I'm going to leave them alone today. Not going to say anything. All I'm going to say is you can always follow the money and find out where this all comes from. You always got a balrog. You always got a balrog where we need to take a staff and break the footing so it can fall and be done. But we hand it down. Hand it down. And you know what? And this is what I'm gonna say in defense of these kids again, because again, I don't ever blame the kids. I don't blame any one of these kids. It's not their fault. They didn't cause it. But they gotta go on TV and say that because we even condition them to blame themselves. They come out of these prisons with, oh, well, it was my fault. I made the problem. I did this, I did that. Because otherwise you wouldn't put them on TV. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna tell you the ugly truth because I think you're ugly. I think you ugly. I think I'm ugly. I think our society is ugly. So I'm gonna say what I see is true. And what's true is, no, it's not their fault, it's our fault. But we're even conditioning them to come out and blame themselves, not their actions. I blame the actions. And the root cause of the action is the condition and the environment. The conditioning and the environment is done by us.
Being there to reflect with me and listen to me and understand my problems and help me work those out, it was like, it's a real jewel, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy for someone to just lead you in the wrong way, you know what I'm saying? Give you drugs or give you a gun. It's easy to do that. So when I started actually understanding like the whole concept, it wasn't just about me learning electricity or me learning how to be an electrician. It wasn't just about that. It was more, it was health, wellness. They cared more than I thought. So that's what, when I actually felt that and I understood that they cared way more than I understood, I put my all into it, because coming where I'm coming from, it's not a lot of opportunity.
Oh my God, I gotta stop. Y'all gonna shoot. Do you feel the joy in this man? Do you feel the joy in, for the first time in his life, for the most part, experiencing love and care and concern that someone actually gives a damn about him? teaching him, giving him skills that he can go out. And he said, once I felt that, I gave it my all. Wow. From the mouth of babes, people. I ran out of time. I can't. I'd love to keep going. I posted the link. You can go watch the whole interview. It was a great interview. It was a fantastic interview. From the mouth of babes, they will tell you. But it's on us. We can give kids opportunity. We can give kids a chance to survive. Or we can keep making monsters and see where it goes. I'm going to tell you, trust the science. You can get all the police you want on the streets you want. You can give them all the guns you want. You can make all the prisons you want with Obama and the rest of them doing that, lying in your face or smiling in your face while they're doing it. They're not hiding it from you. You just don't want to do nothing about it. You can get all the Trumps you want, roll out all more police you want. You are manufacturing the perfect warriors, and they are having babies, and they are handing down generation to generation to generation through transgenerational epigenetics and how to be a better warrior, how to fight harder, how to get away faster, handing it down in the prisons, how to make a really tweaked of a psychopath to survive in a world that doesn't give a damn about him. One day you might need their help. Damn robots come for you. You might actually need somebody who knows how to shoot, and damn it, they don't know how to shoot. Feel nothing. Keep on coming at you. Turning off all the pain. Turning off all the feeling. Turning off everything. Because we are manufacturing the perfect warriors and releasing them in society so corporations can make a whole lot of money. So they can ban things, so they can regulate things, so these businesses can make more money. And they buy your Republicans and your Democrats to do all the same damn thing. I didn't even look at comments. I gotta look at comments. I'm just done playing. Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate it. I love you too. I'm not playing. I'm not here to play. I'm not here to play. I don't choose sides. I'm not here to play. We all the same damn people. All the same damn people. Stupid as a bag of bricks. Knowing the balrog got feet. Knowing gravity exists. And when you take out the greed mechanisms in your psychopathic politicians and their unconstitutional, completely Bill of Rights agnostic laws, complete violating the UN 30 articles of all human rights every damn time, and you want to keep it going. And you think that this ends well. That's what I said. We all gonna die. Anyway, let me look at the comments and I'm gonna get, I can't believe I went there, but I'm out of time. I swear I ask myself every day. Melissa, I ask myself every day too. Every day. When are we gonna grow the hell up? Ask myself that every damn day. When are we gonna let it go? And I'm not blaming the politicians. Not to be sure and clear, I'm not blaming them. They do exactly what they see we'll clap for. And they'll do the very limits of it. They make these kids violent. They make them what we call crazy because they make them crazed. And they do exactly what they're supposed to do. Traumatized children grow up and become traumatized parents. Exactly, Rebecca, and what do? And then they raise more traumatized people. That's exactly what they do. We do that because it makes a lot of money. One has money, the other doesn't. Exactly, Melissa. There's no difference. The mentality is the same, exactly the same. One has money, one doesn't. One sees money as a tool to solve problems. The other's raised with a gun that solves problems. And they're going to solve the problem. Same way we go to work every day. I know works that work in the military industrial complex. I know adults that work in these alphabet agencies. And guess what? They got the tool. They're going to solve the problem. It's just survival. And it's all about birth luck. You're born in the wrong spot, you will become exactly what you're supposed to become. Because people don't like to die. Glamorize killers. It's a real trickle down. Yes, there is a trickle down, Rebecca, and they do glamorize killing. Because they train their kids. Do you think they don't train their kids to shoot? Oh yeah, they train their kids to shoot. They train them exactly how to survive in this society that we make them. 50 years of neoliberal austerity has undermined society, and most problems stem from there. Yes, they do, because neoliberalism is all about corporate rule. Thank you, Linda Kreisman. Yes, it is. It's all about corporate rule. It's about letting corporations make all the decisions. And what do corporations always decide? Money is the best option. If it makes money, it's a good idea. And to me, it's just slavery. It's all slavery. It's just making the human race commodities. But you know, the interesting thing, Linda, about today is the human race is their commoditized value every day goes down because of robots and automation. Every day, the human being and human labor has less value. And then when that gets the lower and lower and lower, things will get worse and worse and worse. I know money is a tool. The love of money, the worship of money kills. It does, Tina. That's why I always say money has to go away. Money has to go away. It was a bad experiment, bad idea. We've been here for millions of years. It didn't exist. We don't need it. It needs to go away. It is definitely the root of all evil. That love of it and its existence. And as long as it exists, people will love it. Why? Because you can survive better with it. It has to go away. The only tool I have to survive is to be selfish. Exactly, Melissa. And they'll collect as much as they can because they got to survive. My nephew is 24 in the UK self-defense. Somebody tried to stab him and the other one died. Yes, Natasha, and it happens all the time. Happens all the time. These kids will survive. And we blame the kids. We don't blame the environment that causes them to be survivalistic. They blame the other kid. Well, the other kid started it. It's not about the other kid. It's about the environment. Blame the environment. We got to fix these environments. Politics is for poor people who don't know any better. Yes, exactly, Crystal. And thank you for the quote. That was a messed up quote. I took it from Ty. I took it from Ty and I messed it up. Politics is for poor people who can't read, I think was the initial quote, because people don't read. I don't know if programming is ever a good mental practice. I agree with you, Rebecca. I believe in that. I believe that kids are born neutral and you just let them become what they're going to become. You don't need to force them to be anything. Let them become whatever great thing they need to become. I think it's the same principle with racism. It's traumatic, it's intergenerational, so we carry it on in our blood, and I think sometimes we forget that. Yes, Dee Dee, thank you. And this is why I talk about like cell memory, right? DNA stores memory. The transgenerational epigenetics. We hand it down generation after generation. We literally hand down hatred generation after generation. And that's why I can't get behind these racial things, because all you do is you push people. It's polarization. When you come up with a racial term for somebody else, they get a racial term for you, and then they rally more to their base, and the moderates in the middle like, what's going on? The moderates don't want to get on anybody's side. They see polarizing white guilt and black pride and black power and this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden the people in the middle like, wait a minute, everybody's joining sides. Maybe I need to too. This getting kind of dangerous out here. And they join sides. And then what do you have? A bunch of dumb people being farmed by corporations and greed, fighting each other in the streets, fighting other poor people over what they didn't do to them, what the system did to them, and fighting for something that they'll never get because the bank got the money and they're not going to give it to you. Learned behaviors. Yes, Tina, they are all learned behaviors. Most refugees are fleeing from failed societies. Thank you, Linda Kreisman. Once again, just dropping truth bombs. They are fleeing because they don't want their kids being survivors in that way. But we want to say it's a false flag. We want to say, oh, it's orchestrated. You know what? Let me tell you this. If every Democrat in the DNC leadership got on airplanes, went to Honduras, paid them money because, I don't know, Zionism or banks or central, I don't care who's paying, and told them, gave them people money to walk up, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Are the conditions they live in real? If the conditions they live in are real, if femicide is real and little girls can't go to school, then damn it, they should be walking here. Thank you, Democrats, for doing that, because now we can actually have a discussion about the problems both you Democrats and you Republicans caused all over this damn world. Colonization, which has not stopped, continues on today, and we vote for it. And we cheer it. Oh, Melissa, he's cute. Leave him alone. That's a lot of cute men in prison. They always say, because you know what? Because it doesn't matter if you're cute or not. It doesn't matter if you're pretty or not. Sometimes that bothers me. I'm like, all these pretty fine women in prison. How in the world they end up in prison? You born in the wrong feet, doesn't matter what you look like. Born in the wrong feet, doesn't matter your race. Born in the wrong feet, doesn't matter. Born in the wrong family, doesn't matter. Born in the wrong city, born in the wrong community, born at the wrong damn time where adults can't figure out and get a clue that they caused all of this. It doesn't matter. You end up in prison, or you'll end up dead, one or the other. I know several Nazis, none deserve my air. They like raping little girls. Yeah, Maha, there are a lot of bad people. There are a lot of people out there who do a lot of bad things. And the real question, Maha, is, do we want the bad things to continue? If we want the bad things to continue, then we should fight the Nazis. Why? Because then it's going to manufacture more. It's going to embolden their base. They're going to have more membership. It's going to piss off their kids, and it's going to prove everything they said was right. Go punch a Nazi if you like rape. That's how it works. If we like hate, go punch a Nazi. If we don't like rape and we don't like hate, solve the problem. Fix the problem. Fix what creates Nazis. Don't fight the Nazis. The people who want you to fight Nazis make a whole lot of money on Nazis existing. They can sell a lot of books. They can get political careers. They make money from destabilizing populations. Go ahead and talk. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes you have to talk about we haven't talked about mass incarceration in a while, and this whole discussion on the thread, it bothered me. Like you can look at the discussion and you can look at what people are saying and you can see where they're coming from. And you can see that they all have the same thing in common. They want to solve the problem, but they go through the details and they try, and they get lost in the details. It becomes emotional. They start yelling, cussing, and screaming at each other. Then of course it becomes emotional, and so you can't solve a problem because now it's emotional. But they all actually want to solve the problem. They just have different experiences. They come from different locations. And so they fight over the fact that they have different experiences instead of actually solving the problem. And I'm just always about solve the problem. Fix the environment, fix the people, the problems go away. Argue about the environment, fight the people, the problems persist, and we perpetuate the things that we know we can get rid of. Nazis, people are blaming the Jews. Yes, Kim, people are blaming the Jews, and people blame them not. They go back and forth. And to me, it's stupid because you always have psychopaths that hide within the Nazis. You got psychopaths that hide within the Jews. You have psychopaths that hide within the Christians, psychopaths that hide within the Muslims. And I'm just like, why don't we get brain scans and focus on the fact that these people are psychopathic, focus on the acts and the environments that they do, fix those things, and stop blaming large swaths of people who, a lot of them, team up on the side because they did it to protect themselves, the same way kids join gangs in the inner cities and the trailer parks. These things are easy to solve. We just don't want to solve them. Because sometimes it's fun for people. Some people get off on it. They just like fighting. They don't want to fix anything. They like fighting. And they accidentally were born as this race or this color or this butt or this country. And so they just like fighting. They just want to keep fighting. And I'm just saying, we call out the fighters. They're people who just want to perpetuate. You need to call them out. And you need to be honest with it. All these problems are easy to fix. We just have to fix them. It's governments, not the people at the United States government is the worst. Well, you know, and governments, Brother John, I mean, the government is a tool. It's a tool for greed. The people with the most money are the greediest. The government's for sale, so they buy them. And then they cause all the problems. And so that's why I'm not about blaming the government. They have a job to do, but if they do their job, they end up with JFK Jr. or JFK or Martin Luther King if they actually do their job. It all comes down on people and people standing down these systems. But we're still clapping about Trump's anus. We're still yelling and screaming about Trump's penis or Clinton's and then Obama's or Michelle Obama's. Like, people are still on this stuff. In a world where people die every day, all day long, kids are sold into sex slavery all day long, and they want to argue over what's drama. I won't put hands on them. I send demons to them. Well, Maha, I'm not even about sending demons to them. How about this? Maha, send demons to the people who make the environments that make Nazis. Do that. Do that one. Yeah, can you do that one for me? That's what I'm about, right? Because you can send demons to the Nazis, and the demons could kill the Nazis, but then they're going to piss off the next Nazis, going to make some more Nazis. Then you got Nazis everywhere. Then everywhere you look, going to be some Nazis, right? So send the demons to the people who are behind the problems. Don't pit against The people you pit against the pitters. That's how we solve the problems. We stop manufacturing. Greed is power. Yes, it is, Brother John. That's what it's always been about, which is why it's not really even about money. It's about the power behind the money. People want the power. They want the power to survive, and then they want the power to thrive, so you can't ever take that power. And so we need the power exit, which means we need the money exit, which means we need the government exit, which means we need to politically exit. We need to get out of all of these situations that create conditions that are profitable by not solving the worst evils that have been here since the Dark Ages that we know we can get rid of. Many have failed because we are at war with them for profit of corporations. Exactly, Linda. I appreciate you just dropping it just like it is. It's just, the wars are always just about money. That's all it is. The wars in the ghetto, money. The wars in South America, money. The wars in the Middle East, money. The wars in Congo, money. I mean, my goodness, what did they just gave that Nobel Peace Prize to that lady that was raped? She was what was that group of people in Iraq? All of those girls that ISIS, Department of American Projects and Britain Projects and Germany Projects, because rape is the #1 side effect of war. What was the name they gave her, the Nobel Peace Prize? She's walking around talking. I'll post the link. You can watch it later. And the doctor who treated something like 50,000 rape victims. 50,000. I'm late, but I got to show you this real quick. I got to show you this. I'm sorry. I do. I want to get out of here, but this is important. It's important. It's very important. Right here. The Nobel laureates.
5, 4.
I don't know what that is, but that's more corporate. Oh, that's the Coliseum. Look at this.
Sharing a prize and a sense of justice for victims of sexual violence in conflict, Nadia Murad and Denis Mukwege received their Nobel Peace diplomas and medals. Their speeches urged the international community to act when war crimes are committed, a call they reiterated during an exclusive interview with Al Jazeera after the ceremony.
ISIS is a fidel group. What they've been doing to the girls and women, kidnapping this female person, raping the Yazidi girl and women, and the belief, and those people believing according to ISIS and saying this is right. We see that this is the wrongest act they can possibly do.
ISIS, the ISIS we give guns to, the ISIS the American money government created, the ISIS that we did, the ISIS that came out of Al-Qaeda or ISIL or the other group named Al-Qaeda, which started from the CIA. We did that. We did that to her. Our tax dollars and the money the Fed prints from our endless wars and our war, we did that. Democrats and Republicans did that. Because we funnel weapons to people who do these things. And you think they're over there solving problems, and they're not, and your soldiers tell you this, but you don't listen.
Nadia Murad knows firsthand the injustice of ISIL, seen here returning to her village in northern Iraq. She is a survivor of trafficking and rape at the hands of the group's fighters. Now she's desperate to rescue and resettle her people. 300,000 are in refugee camps, while 3,000 Yazidi women are still enslaved. She has told her story of sexual violence and torture, receiving standing ovations at the European Parliament and United Nations, but she says there's been little action.
Starving. Poor people do horrible things. Stop blaming the Muslims. We starved them, we funneled weapons, we destroyed their countries. They go do this because we started it. We did that. Now you got all these psychopathic bastards that are clapping for it, and they're the ones that are behind it. They're the ones funneling the weapons, but we clap for them because they got nice suits and they look good, but they're the ones who caused the problem.
Yazidi people live in hope for justice, but that hope has an expiry date. Nadia Murad shares the $1 million prize money with Denis Mukwege, a gynecologist who has treated around 50,000 rape victims for their injuries. They were attacked by fighters during conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mukwege has pioneered new surgeries to help the women and rehabilitate them with physical, psychological and economic support.
Now we can have campaigns, as we've done for chemical weapons and biological and nuclear weapons. We can reach a level where any person who is involved in a conflict knows already that if he uses rape as a weapon of war, there will be no country that will accept me.
Unlike other Nobel Peace Prize winners, these laureates have not completed their task. Instead, they are in the midst of their struggle to prevent sexual violence.
I'm not even going to touch the fact that we live in a world where one doctor can treat 50,000 women. 50,000 women. That rape is such a thing that they're developing new surgeries to deal with it. And you're still voting. This is why I don't vote. This is why I do not vote. Because your system is evil, your political parties are evil, they're satanic, your politicians are liar, dirty bastards. Dirty bastards. And they do it because we keep cheering. We keep voting for them, we keep supporting them. And we're better than this. We are so much better than all of this. It's time to dig deep. This is the time we live in. It's time to dig deep and realize when you're being played. Realize that this is not a world we want little girls growing up in. Realize this isn't a world we want little kids growing up in. Little kids are just little kids. We as the adults dictate the world they grow up in. That's why I can't fathom why anybody is talking about gun control. You ask me, every woman on this planet should have a tank and an army. Still people get it. Still people get it. All right, I gotta get going. Sheepless in Seattle, thank you. Congress is a bunch of traitors. They are. They're traitorous. They're treason. And the minute you have a human in Congress, they'll actually start speaking about things that don't matter. Till then, gulag for all of them. Tar and feather. They're treasonous, traitorous bastards. And all the troops we've lost, all the women we've lost, all the innocent people we've lost around this world are waiting on us to step up in honor and get their back and bring an end to it. Because it happens every damn day. And we know better than this. We completely know better than this. You know that you don't solve a problem. You don't put out an inferno by spraying water at the top. The people who tell you to spray water at the top are the people who are making money on the fact that a balrog and an inferno exist. You take the fuel, and if they need the money, they need the Federal Reserve, they need central banking, they need you to go to work, they need you to spend money, they need your consumerism, they need you to buy from international trade deal consumer crap that comes from slave labor, then stop. That's all you got to do. Stop. It's just a system. Stop. We're just throwing logs on the fire. Throwing logs on the fire, feeding the balrog, complaining that the balrog actually exists. Not gonna work out well for the human race. We go extinct, I'll be the first to go. But I ain't gonna sit here and play with y'all lying. So I gotta go. Listen, y'all have a great day. Stop feeding the fire. Let's put the fires out. It's easy to do. Now we live in a time where we have the internet. You can do your research. You can find out, and you can stand up and say something. Stand up and say something. Gotta go. It's Gerard. Love y'all. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.